All right. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you all doing today?
Super fantabulous.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good.
Awesome.
That is good. Well, welcome to our viewers, especially our folks here in Savannah, Georgia, Chatham County, and all across Georgia and the United States. We are pleased today and happy to welcome a fellow Georgian, someone who has led in one of our cities, and someone who I think you all will be happy to hear from today, Mr. Floyd Griffin. And so, Mr. Griffin, if you could share with us uh, a little bit about yourself, and we'll talk more about your candidacy for Secretary of State.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for having me on the show today. And it's always good to be down in Chatham County in the Savannah area, which I'm familiar with. We can talk about that a little bit later. But my name is Floyd Griffin. I'm from Millersville. And let me just mention my website, because my resume and background is quite extensive, and I'm just going to give you a bird's eye view. My website is www.floydforgeorgia.com. Floydforgeorgia.com. I repeat that again, but my all of my resume information and so forth is on there. But I was born in Millersville here in Georgia, up through high school, and I matriculated to Tuskegee Institute at that time, which obviously is Tuskegee University now. That's where I got my start in the civil rights movement and in the election process by supporting individuals running for office. As a matter of fact, the first sheriff, black sheriff, in the United States was elected in Macon County, Tuskegee, Alabama, Anderson, and I worked on his campaign. But I was commissioned second lieutenant from Tuskegee, went in the United States Army. I was in the Corps of Engineers. I also was a helicopter pilot, flew helicopters in Vietnam. Spent 23 years in the Army. Traveling all over the world, and one of my stations was here in Hinesville. I commanded an 800-person engineer battalion under General Norman Schwarzkopf at the time, and as I stated, I stayed in the Army for 23 years and did all kind of things where I was the first African American to hold some of those positions. Retired from the Army after 23 years, moved back to Millersville, my hometown, to our family business, was funeral service, Slater's Funeral Home. The funeral home presently has been around for over 110 years. My family owned it for over 50 years when my sister and I, after our parents passed, my sister and I ran the funeral home for a number of years, and we sold it 4 years ago. When I came back, I ran for state senate, becoming the first African American in modern times to be elected in a legislated seat from a majority white district in rural Georgia, and the first senator elected in my district, the 25th district, and ran for lieutenant governor in 98. And matter of fact, we carried and did well here in Savannah and Chatham County. So I think the voters here for voting for me. I also ran for the mayor of Millersville, becoming the first black mayor of the city of Millersville, and man, was that an experience. That's one of the hardest jobs I've had with everything I've done in my political career. So that's kind of a thumb nose of who I am. Once again, just visit my website. And if you don't have everything on the website, Google me. And you go and Google me now. Make sure you got
Look,
15 or 20 minutes or so, because you know, hey, I see my good friend Dr. Smalls there. When I come to the table, I don't come with a plate. I come with a platter.
oh no.
Right.
Look, Reverend Small's gonna make sure he puts your signs all across Chatham County. I'll go ahead and volunteer him for that.
Yes, sir. Yeah. How you doing, Reb?
I'm good, partner. I am good.
Yes, sir. It's good seeing you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I just want everybody to know, everybody who's anybody, because you wouldn't know if you're not Middle Georgia mostly. But what you're looking at is an icon. What you're looking at is a person who has borne his burden in the heat of the day. One of the great debates, and I know him close enough to know this, one of the great debates was, should he put his hat back in this ring called politics? Him, his family, and friends gathered, and some said yes, some said no, and I think Senator Griffin prayed and got the final answer, the majority vote, coming from the one who could veto everything we do.
Yes, sir.
And that's Almighty God, and He is indeed my friend. And as just a short story, about 3 or 4 years ago, we were up in Milledgeville. We had a young man that was shot by a sheriff, and they called me up to consult with the community, the 100 black men and others and the NAACP got involved. And I came in, and within 4 or 5 days, we had the sheriff come to a church. He released the video. And see, that's why I'm having difficulty with stuff goes on in Savannah. This is in rural Middle Georgia. And within 3 or 4 days, we had the video released. The sheriff come, admit that it was wrong. Ultimately, the gentleman was fired because they said he used unreasonable force, but he was scared. He was surprised or something of that nature. And we didn't like that part. But the fact that the sheriff was forthcoming, that Floyd was involved and pushed and had that type of influence that would get people to the table quickly. Right. And we, like I said, it happened like on a Wednesday. On Sunday evening, while I was on my way going up to Tennessee, I stopped in. The sheriff gave an account. The man got fired, and I stuck with the family and got the young man compensated. Okay, they actually settled with him for him being shot wrongly, and it's the kind of stuff that don't happen. And if we didn't have a trooper, a veteran of the political process like Floyd Griffin in the mix, then these kind of things don't happen. So yes, we need to send someone who will put their hand on the plow and tear up some field for us. And then he knows his way around the field. It's not just that he's going to go up there and try to learn. Been there, done that, got some T-shirts and some scars, and he can do this. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is Reverend Dr. Leonard Small on all things relevant media, giving my utmost unfettered and unredacted at all, and won't take it back, endorsement of Senator Floyd Griffin right here, right now, on this media.
And that endorsement comes with a check. Mr. Griffin, that check's in the mail.
I tell you what, after that endorsement, I can just go on and leave the show and go on somewhere else. No.
But you know, Reverend Small brought up
Small.
Go ahead.
I was just thinking him again.
Oh yeah.
For that, gee whiz. Well, I'm just going to leave it alone. Thank you, sir.
Well, and Reverend Small brought up a good piece. And, you know, I myself had to go through this process. When you start thinking about entering the arena for public leadership, right, especially at a statewide level, if you could share a little bit of how you got there. I agree with Reverend Small that you don't just get there. There's a calling, there's a prayer process, there's a self-reflection that is involved in that. So if you could share a little bit about that piece and what got you to the decision of, you know what, this is right and this is for the moment.
Well, when the legislature, the General Assembly, passed Senate Bill 202, and what it has done from the suppression standpoint and disrespected Black people in this state, it started getting to me. And I started thinking about it. See, y'all, I want y'all to understand that my sister and I sold our funeral business 4 years ago. And I went into, I guess you can call it semi-retirement. I thought it was retirement, but I was still involved in doing things in Millersville and even around the state and out of the state, because I was on the board of trustees of my alma mater, Tuskegee. Now, so it started, and I started talking to my wife about it, and my wife, we've been married 55 years, and she knows me better than anybody else, and she was not too happy about me considering getting back into politics, and especially at this level. So, but she didn't say no. We talked about it like we normally do. But what really got over the top is that one night after going to bed, a spirit came to me. I didn't say a ghost.
Huh? You gotta clarify, because these folks out here sometimes will make some mess up.
And maybe Dr. Smalls can talk about what the spirit piece. And what I'm telling you all, I talked to him about this also. Talked to several pastors and ministers about this. And that spirit was a good friend of mine who was Assistant Secretary of State with the last Democratic Secretary of State, Kathy Cox.
Yes.
And I was in the legislature at the time, and this individual, we used to meet all the time and talk. I go down to his office, and we were very good friends. But to make a long story short on that, his name was Tara Slate. Tara came to me as I was thinking about this thing. I guess I was thinking about it at the time. And he was wearing a white suit with a vest, had a white hat on. He always dressed immaculate. And he stood over me and he nodded. And someone in the background said, "He's dead." Tara was dead. Tara was the president of the 100 Black Men in Atlanta. The 100 Black Men had each year had a football game with, I think, Tennessee State and FAMU every year. He died the night before that game. Okay. And lastly, my family and I had planned back in February, before I even thought about running any kind of office, a get-together. We went up to Lake Lanier for 4 days, and we talked about this, not extensively, but we talked about it. And as the pastor Smalls stated, nobody was against it, but some of them were concerned about what's going on with Secretary of States around the country, and even the present Secretary of State from a security standpoint and so forth. But anyway, after that weekend, I got the nod from them, my wife. And so the 6th the 6th of July is when I find my intent to run. So here I am. I know that's kind of a long drawn out, but that's how it happened. And see, I truly believe that that spirit came from the man upstairs. I never had anything like that happen to me. Now, I dream all the time, but this is not a dream.
All right. All right. That's what we want to hear.
Right.
So, what are some of the things that you want to change once you're in office?
Well, I'm still putting my platform together because, I just announced here about a month ago. But there are several things that I know I want to do. And first of all, let's understand that the Secretary of State's responsibilities is more than just the election piece.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have the election division. There's the license division, which is in Macon, Georgia. Then there's the regulatory side of the house, which are corporations, small businesses and trades, charity organizations, and a security piece. So you talking about a CEO corporate level organization. This is not a little giant time organization. So the first thing that I want to do, okay, I will name a woman as my deputy, a deputy Secretary of State. Okay. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say, well, today, whether that's going to be a black woman, white woman, or a purple woman. But that person must have, I hope I can find a person that has following experience and qualification. Some legislative experience, hopefully in the Georgia legislature, but if not, in local government and so forth. And definitely have government experience and have an understanding of business, if not have been in business. And that person's got to be younger than I am, because I want to groom, hopefully find a person who would be interested in running for Secretary of State after I finish my one term. I only go in there for one term. Okay. And if not run for that position, groom to run for some other high level position, because see, that is something that we have not done, including me, enough during my years in politics. But I tell you what, Brother Smalls, it's hard to find black, especially black men, who want to do things like that and put in the work and time and effort and so forth. Now, another reason I want to name a black, name a woman. Now listen to how I'm saying this, and you can get a general idea of what I'm looking for. Women have been the most dedicated, loyal individuals to Democrats and to the election process.
That's true.
And we owe them the opportunity to be able to move up the ladder. Now, do they give you some kind of idea of what kind of person I'm looking for from the standpoint of black, white, purple, green, and etc.? Okay.
Well, here's the thing in my mind when I think about that aspect. If we're not at the table, if we're not in the room, then we won't be included in the decisions. And even when we are sometimes finally at the room, having come to the community, particularly the black community, as soon as our butts hit those seats, and a few of those banquets are places that we're invited to, a few of those yacht club parties are under our belt, we all of a sudden feel like that community that we came to, that little ghetto, that housing project that we stood in and asked people for their support,
We
that
done
they don't
made
really matter no more, because now we're going to get our next campaign money from upstream, and we don't need them nickels and dimes anymore. And they are the counter community is absolutely available and anxious to buy one of us to purchase the rest of us. And so we need people who are not looking to make money. We need people who have been established in their own right, who are not desperate or who are not unused to material accoutrements. We need people who have, but who have not forgotten. And that's the category I put Senator Griffin in. He's made $4 or $5 over his lifetime. He's not gonna go broke if somebody don't give him $5 or $10 or buy him some lunch. He can buy his own lunch. And if he can come to me and I'll buy his lunch for the next 5 years. So the point I'm saying is we need these people who are not hungry. We need these people who are not beholding. And we need to support them. We need to send money to his campaign. This thing about I support him and I'm gonna pray for him. Okay, your support and your prayer will not buy one commercial, will not buy one yard sign. Okay, that's just bottom line facts.
Yeah.
Don't talk about I support Julius Hall for the mayor of Penport. He gonna be a good mayor. He's not gonna be no mayor if we don't help him. And then if he had to go to other people to get all of his money all the time, then he's got to do some of their bidding. And he really is not beholden to us to do any of ours. Now, it is true that money don't vote. But without money, you can't contact folks to get them to vote for you. And so that's my pitch. I'm not going to be able to stay on. Julius notified me late. He's one of them few people that can call me late and get me anywhere he want me to go. And he takes advantage of my weakness for his brotherhood to me. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you, Floyd. Me and you talked about this last week. You coming. He and I talked about it last week. You coming. Why did he send me the notice about 15 minutes?
I said, I'm not on it, you know. I said,
but wait a minute. But and then he put on there, wait a minute, and you could come on the phone.
That was me.
Because he knew I might be anywhere. I happen to be home. But I got to go. I got to get up to the station up in Statesboro.
Look, I knew you were going to say I'm not by my laptop, so I was already going to cut that argument off.
Yeah. So, no, listen, I got to go. I love y'all. Love
Thank you.
Hey, Floyd, you know, when you get over and see Mayor Parham, the mayor of Millersville, I took her some food night before last.
Right.
And ask her what I gave her so you can get you some.
Okay. I'll see her here after a while. I saw her this morning for a few minutes.
Okay.
We'll
talk. We'll talk. But I got to go to Statesboro. Love y'all.
Great day. Reverend Small.
Yes, sir.
Reverend Small, tell my good friend Reverend Johnson hello. Francis Johnson.
You heard. All right. Y'all be blessed.
All right.
But you know, Reverend Smalls made a good pitch, and that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. That's right. So, you know, let's set up a hypothetical, Mr. Griffin. Let's say you're elected Secretary of State, and God forbid we end up with Governor Kemp again. How do you foresee you navigating and working in that type of relationship? Hopefully you won't, but in case that is a scenario, how do you navigate those types of waters when you have opposition that really probably won't listen to reason, but you know you've got a task to accomplish?
Well, I think my background and experience way over 50 years being out in the professional world has put me in a position to be able to work with anyone, okay, and deal with the hand that has been given to me. one of the things that I would do after I am elected, and hopefully before I'm sworn in, but then again, it depends on who is the governor or the governor elect and how we work this out. But I want to meet with the governor. I want to meet with the lieutenant governor, the speaker of the House, and the Democratic leadership and the Republican leadership and the House of Representatives. I want to lay out my plans of how I plan on operating and how I plan on dealing with them, and some of the things that I think needs to be changed depending on what happens with some of the things that's in the bills I want to call them bills, but in the law now, because hopefully, some of these things will be changed if we can get the John Lewis Act passed and the For the People Act, or if the courts make a decision, in our favor. So we got really over a year to get that done, in the extent that when I'm elected, I won't go in until over a year from now. So, that's the way I plan on operating. And one other thing, I want not only the governor and those individuals to understand, and the election board, I don't work for them. Okay, I will work for the people of Georgia, the ones that elected me or the ones that didn't elect me. Because although on some of my literature, you'll see vote for Floyd Griffin for Secretary of State. And then my website says Floyd for Georgia. When I get elected, I'm going to represent all Georgians, not just Republicans or Democrats or independents. Because, see, what I want to do is do what is right and fair. What is right and fair. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist in most cases to understand what is right and fair. So it's not going to be an easy, it will not, well, let's don't say that, because I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be easy to work with them or not. But I tell you what, I'm not boss to bought. And we'll make sure they understand all of that.
Yo, we
And
got
as
to do
Reverend
something.
Small said, I'm not he alluded to, I'm not running for this position for the money. The Lord has blessed me and my wife and family, and unless something catastrophic happens, whatever years I have left, financially, we're in pretty good shape.
I think that we need to really, once you take office, one of the things we need to do, especially if it's a Democrat and that Democrat is you, look at how they purge the voting roll.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. And the other concern of mine is that, as long as you're breathing air, you should have a right to vote.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And doesn't matter what your conditions are, doesn't matter what the situation is, whether you're locked up, whether you're in the hospital, as long as you can breathe and you're cognizant of what you're doing, you ought to be able to vote. And that's one of the things that's of concern to me, that, they say voting is a privilege, but it should be a right.
That's right. It is a right.
It should, right. They make it a privilege. That's why they take it away from you.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be a right that they cannot take away from you, just like your citizenship. They can't take it away from you unless you leave the country and betray the country. So they shouldn't be able to take uh, your voting rights away from you. Your right to vote at any time in any election that you are eligible to vote in. I mean that's in your jurisdiction.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up because one other thing that I want to do early on in my administration is I'm going to have a 90-day plan and a 180-day plan. That's what I'm working on now. But one of the 90-day plans is that I want to have a listening session around the state, especially in the major areas like the Savannah, Chatham-Town district, if you want to call it that big area, and it's going to be a listening session where people can talk to me about anything they want to, just like you just mentioned that, Brother Hall. And another thing I'm going to do is between my deputy and I, we will spend one day a month in a minimum of one day a month in the Secretary of State Region's office. There's an office in North Georgia, one down here in South Georgia, down in Tifton, and obviously we have the election division in Macon. And one other thing I do, I'm going to set me up an office there in Macon, and spend some time there and let the general public know from South Georgia, Miller, South Georgia, when I'm going to be there. If someone want to make an appointment, to come in and see me, you don't have to go all the way to Atlanta, because the highways and the pavement and asphalt can lead to Macon just like it goes to Atlanta. So there are a number of things that I want to do to make sure that the general public have an opportunity to come and see the Secretary of State or one of my chief officers.
Well, I got this campaign promise to everybody on my campaign. I know you can't do it because there's too many people, but it's it's a little under 15,000 people here in Port Wentworth. And one of my campaign promises is that after my first 4 years, every citizen in Port Wentworth will be able to say that the mayor knows my name. And no, you can't do that because that's a lot of territory to cover the whole Georgia.
Yeah,
You know,
it sure is.
yeah. So, but one thing that I think that all the elected officials need to do is get out. They need to get out because, especially when you're the head, it's not a whole lot that you're doing besides delegating and having other people to do a whole bunch of work. I mean, it's a lot of work, but you ought to be able to get out and talk to the citizens like you want to do. And if you have an office in all the major cities or the 10 major cities of Georgia, then and you tell people, hey, I'm having a town hall, come talk to me. We haven't had secretaries of state do town halls. They get there and they're unapproachable, they're unaccessible.
Mhm.
There's no transparency and there's no accountability. And we need to have that on that level once we get it. And that's some of the things we need: transparency, accessibility, and accountability.
Mhm.
You get the people's trust that way. We got our tax commissioner here, and we got our DA here in Chatham County. Both of them ran on a strong platform. Both of them are delivering. What they promised they would do, they are doing. Nobody can complain about Sonia Jackson as tax commissioner, and nobody can complain about Shalana Cook Jones as district attorney.
Mhm.
They went in with their promises and they made those promises and they're keeping them. And that's what it takes when you're today's politician. You can't just go off of popularity. You just can't hope that somebody elect you because you're black or because you're a Democrat. You got to go in and do what the people need you to do. And, as soon as we can get that understanding in everybody's head and wake them up to start coming out and vote, participate, get involved, get engaged, then it will be better off for it. You know.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Robert.
Okay. So one of the things as you were talking earlier, I was thinking about Daniel Blackman and I, who ran last year. Well, yeah, about a year ago for Public Service Commission, and how difficult it was to campaign given we had COVID. And now that we're in a different type of situation, what are some of the challenges or successes that you're finding in navigating the state, meeting people, and sharing your message? Because I think it's important for people to hear how complex it can be, especially with that layer of COVID and all of these different restrictions and parameters around how you have to get around the corner and navigate to meet people. So how does that look for you, and how is it working out?
Well, I'm just really getting started. Been at it for about a month, but I'm taking it very, very slow and careful and thoughtful, because the pandemic is still around, and virus, this Delta virus is pumping around and so forth. But one of the good things that has happened since I ran for statewide office before is technology, and the kinds of things we are doing right now. This is just great, and I think I've done about 3 of these in the last week, and about 4 or 5 around the state, and we're going to try to continue to do that. And we're going to try to set up small sessions and so forth. For instance, last night I was up in Dublin. There's an individual up there running for mayor, Jerry Adams, and he's a council person now, council person, and he's running for mayor. And they had his kickoff last night, a banquet, and I was invited, and I was there, and they had it really set up real nice, and everybody was wearing masks and those kind of things. So it's going to make it kind of tough, and at the same time, I'm trying to visualize what would happen if we get in the same situation we were in last year, because we don't know what is going to happen with this virus. So we're trying to put a few things, at least on paper, and how we can deal with that. Now, one of the things that's running for statewide, any office, but running for statewide office, you got to raise money. So you got to spend some time on the phone and doing phone banks and all of that, and still try to get out and do the things I'm doing now, like coming down to Savannah for a day or so with the municipal associations and meeting and greeting. So those are the kinds of things that I'll be doing the rest of this year and early next year.
On a fun note, what's your and I think you'll get this one right. I'm an SEC fan, but I wanted to hear, and just for a lighter discussion, your favorite football team in Georgia.
I don't have a favorite football team in Georgia. My favorite football team is Tuskegee University.
Well,
I know. You're trying to get me in trouble. Look, I'm a
Georgia Bulldog.
Say again.
We don't recognize that school in Atlanta, that does circuitry and all that stuff. So we.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, all of them are my favorite teams.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with Bulldogs on. Look here.
You asked about Senator Diane Harvey Johnson. I see that she's watching. Hey, how you doing, Senator?
Hello, Senator.
And we have a rattler here. Hey, we're not gonna start that war. We actually did a show on HBCUs, and that was very successful. But I'm glad to see that we have, even you talked about Black males being involved in the public leadership arena, but we have more HBCUs being represented, and how that is so important because, this discussion with HBCUs and how the graduates are prepared. Well, in my opinion, and I came out of a PWI, HBCU graduates are actually more prepared and better prepared than most, given the values and things that are structured and what you're expected to do as a graduate. And so that was a pretty good discussion. But on a fun fact too, I don't know if you ever heard of a town called Madison, Georgia.
Of course,
Right next door to you.
yeah.
Yeah, my mother's from Madison, Georgia. That's what's real.
Away to Florida, man.
No, Madison is right there in central Georgia. And as a matter of fact, people associate Buckhead with Atlanta, but the real Buckhead, Georgia, is right next to Madison in Morgan County.
Yeah, let me tell you what. When I was state senator, I represented Morgan County.
Mm-hmm.
And Morgan County is a majority white county, at least at that time. And I was elected out of Morgan County. So I know about Morgan County, Buckhead. And every year during the 4th of July, I don't know if they did it last year, but every year they would have, I used to go up to Morgan County and Madison, and my wife and I, we used to go up on the 3rd of the 4th of July and stay overnight, because each one of those little cities up there, they had a 4th of July barbecue and all of that. And we get up that morning and we would go through about 3 cities that whole day. Yeah. Good place.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. My grandfather, George, that's where I get my middle name from, George White. He was a cook there, but yeah, my mom is from there. And so it's a very, very special place, but right in the center of Georgia.
Yes.
But what are some, getting back on track a little bit, what are some of the things you learned from mayor that you think will be useful as you move into this process of being a statewide executive?
Oh boy.
That's
one of the things I learned is at that level is how you really have to deal with Black folks.
Oh Lord, you about to go now. Julius, you know about this one.
Because, one of the things that, one of the problems we have as Black people, we are jealous and we are envious.
Whoa.
We want to see people move into a certain arena, but once they get there, then you see a lot of unnecessary things going on. And as I was telling the mayor last night, the mayor to be up in Dublin, I said, once you get elected, every in this case, I was talking about Black people. Every Black person is going to try to tell you how to be the mayor. and they never been the mayor, been in a position like that.
Well, they never been the president of an association.
But I think being a mayor and being in any elected position definitely can prepare you to become a constitutional officer. And it prepared me from the standpoint of wanting to get out and touch and feel the communities as much as I can.
Okay. Well, we're going to certainly try to make sure that every time we got something here that you can be in a group of people or a large crowd that we'll invite you to. We also want to see whether we can get, we want all the ideas. We want everybody to see everybody. We're you and I talk on our position right now until there's a Democratic candidate that comes out of the primary. We want to make sure that we try to get you and the other candidates also on the same page or on the same platform so that the public can see all of you all together. It's nothing to tear each other up or anything. It's just to get the ideas, because you all might can, once whoever is the winner can bring those other people in with their ideas.
Definitely. Yes, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Mhm. So, you talked about it earlier in describing what the Secretary of State's office is responsible for in Georgia. And I think most people tend to think about elections, right? Because it's such a hot topic. And with Senate Bill, there's two names on it, 202 and 22 coming out of the woodworks. What are things that we can do? Let's for example say it becomes law, it's not challenged or it stays in place. What are some things that we can do to navigate around that as people before we can put someone in a place who can repeal and do something different? But what are some things we can do to navigate that horrible bill in the meantime?
Well, I think starting with the Secretary of State's office, the Secretary of State should have a responsibility of educating public
Mm-hmm.
on the bill, not only on the bill, but making sure they can find a way to get this done. Now, I have visited with 2 or 3 county superintendents of election superintendents, and they've given me some ideas of things that should be done, and things that the Secretary of State presently before this bill was passed was not being done. So that's one of the things that I want to do, is be able to make sure that the Secretary of State are educating the voters. But between now and then, we got a mayor's election coming up here in November, and then next year we have the 22 elections. So we got to get out as people involved in the political process and train those individuals, teach those individuals of what they need to do to be able to go and vote. Okay, what we can't do as a people, sit back and complain and bitch and moan about the bill, the law itself, and the law is in place. We got to find a way to navigate that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we as Black people, we've been doing that for centuries now, because every time we make 5 steps forward and they see that we are winning, then they put something in the way for us to make 2 or 3 steps backwards. And then we find a way to navigate around that. So the way we win, we beat them at their game. We cannot allow ourselves not to vote as strongly or stronger than we did during the last election. So we all have a responsibility. And those of us that are in leadership positions, or those of us that are community activists and so forth, we got to get out and make that happen.
That's right. We have a very strong Democratic committee here in Chatham County, and we have a very strong chair in Jay Jones, who does a wonderful job of what he leading. But one of the things that we've talked about amongst ourselves, and you probably seen your community and throughout the state, is a lack of cohesion and coordination among communities. And what I mean by that is our clergymen, our churches are silent. Our civic organizations and organizations like NAACP are just complacent. It's an I said it moment. And I think if we look back to when the John Lewises were coming through, you lived this. And back in the era where civil rights was going, we had not only those organizations, those churches, those clergymen, we had the young people who are in college leading efforts to not only push back, but to register voters and to be engaged. I don't know why we have lost that or why we think we have made it. But when you got folks down here still taking your land and restricting your right to vote, that should motivate those organizations to do even more. And we, as you would say, probably, we have become some lapdogs, but people are continuing to take things from us. So I don't know, what are your thoughts around that? And how do we get those organizations and churches back engaged in the process?
I really wish I knew I had the answer for that. But I know here up in Millersville and Baldwin County, our NAACP is really on the ball.
Good.
And this has just happened over the last 3 or 4 years. And guess who is the leader, who's the president, and making that happen? A woman.
Yeah.
And the way we can get the look, I'm going to tell you something now. Our Black women are making it happen.
Yeah.
And if there's going to be any changes in what you're talking about now, in a lot of other areas, not just in politics and business and social and so, it's going to be because of our Black women.
Right.
I have the utmost respect for them and what they are doing. And that's why in my administration, I don't give a doggone what they say. And I'm going to find the best qualified, but I'm going to be looking for some Black sisters. Because let me tell you what.
That's who led the civil rights movement.
When they tell you they're going to do something, they're going to get it done.
Yeah. Look, that's who led the civil rights movement. We just happened to put Dr. King and the other guys on the face on. They were the face of it. But in the background, and it baffles me because Black women get such a low ball deal. You know, I tell people this all the time. We have yet to see a Black woman on the Supreme Court. And I'm so proud that Joe Biden put Kamala Harris on as the VP, because it's about time that we recognize the power of Black women in this community. If we don't realize that they really are why we are here today. We just happen to put us on the forefront as the face of the movements. And so, hey, I said it.
That's right.
You want an example of it? We got sisters down here who run a city council and who have the backbone, Mr. Griffin, who have the backbone and not afraid to stand up for the community. How about that? When we got a mayor who's a male and afraid to stand up to the establishment. And so, hey, we got it right here, right in color.
I can understand that every election I've ran, the people who helped me get elected were women, and most of them were Black women. And matter of fact, my political strategist and consultant in Atlanta is a Black woman. And Julius, Mr. Hall, know her, and she's a go-getter.
She is.
Yeah,
she is.
And we're gonna make it happen. Matter of fact, I have a volunteer. I call her my administrative assistant. It's a woman. Can't find no. Hey, I can't. Hey, brothers out there, y'all. I want you to vote for me, but I tell you what. Y'all got to get your act together, man.
Yeah,
we got to get our acts together.
That's right.
Yeah. And, you know, just like on the school board here, we don't have one Black male on it, not one. And we're trying to change that now with Dr. Bryant right here and Dr. Torre, hopefully. We'll have both of those two on the school board. We you know, those kids need some leadership and role models that they can look up to, so that they can say, "Oh, if he can do it, I can do it." You know, you barely got Black teachers in the school systems. The men are just doing something else, and the challenge that you gave is a good challenge, Robert, and Senator Griffin, because we, as Black men, we are responsible for what's coming behind us. We got to bring those kids up and do what is right to make sure that they succeed. Also, we can't just think that it's always about us. We have been conditioned to be selfish, and we need to get away from that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, we've reached our closing time, but we'll give you some time, Senator Griffin, to kind of share your closing thoughts, your website, and how do people contribute to your campaign.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank you all once again for having me on, and the people that are listening today out in Chatham County and surrounding counties, Savannah and so forth. I'm just asking you all to give a very serious consideration to Floyd Griffin. I'm not doing this for any monetary means, for any more accolades and so forth. I have all the accolades that I need and more than I deserve. By the way, there's a street named after me in Milledgeville. There's a plaza named after me in Milledgeville. I'm in 2 Hall of Fames, college halls. I'm in the Tuskegee ROTC Hall of Fame. I'm in the Winston-Salem State University Big House Game Hall of Fame as an assistant football coach. All of my military, political, and business papers and documents and all of that is in the Special Collection Library at Georgia College and State University. So I don't need all of that. All I want to do is represent the people of Georgia, and especially getting Black people an opportunity to see the opportunity to have an African American in this particular seat, because at this point in time, it is serious business. My website is, once again, is www.floyd@georgia.com. On that website is a link to contribute through Act Blue, the Democratic platform. So it doesn't make any difference how much. You'll see in there $7,000, $5,200, and so $7,000 is the most you can give during the primary. And there's a little blank in there. You can just put anything you want in there, $5 or so forth. We really need your support, as Reverend Small said, financially. To get this campaign started, I have loaned the campaign a few $10,000 to get it going. So I just ask for your support, and thank you very much.
Well, yeah, we appreciate you coming on. We're waiting a special guest to highlight a important issue. But while we're waiting on that individual, I have a good college friend and fraternity brother, Ramon Reeves. He's from Milledgeville. I don't know if you have heard that name before.
Ramon Reeves.
Yeah, there's a Ramon Reeves Day in Milledgeville that I'm familiar with. But yeah, we both were at Georgia Southern University. He's done a lot of good work in Milledgeville. So wasn't sure if you all knew each other, but Mr. Hall, we're going to turn over to you, and I know our guest is going to talk about a public health issue. I think he's working on that now. You might be muted. But while we're waiting, if we have any folks, viewers, who have a question for Senator Griffin, definitely type them in the comment section, and we can get those answered while we're waiting on our special guests.
Yeah, he was trying to log in and couldn't. For some reason, his browser. He's trying to change browsers.
Okay.
And, it was just a concern that we wanted to raise some awareness about, and it's the situation with school starting back after the last 3 days. It started here in Chatham County on Wednesday, and they're having so many people talking about all the positive COVID tests, the results that are taking place at every school. And he is saying he don't want to put his kids in school. And he texts me about it and asks me what was my wife doing, so I just wanted to make sure, I say I'm sure the board is doing whatever they have to do, but he wanted to come on and bring some awareness to it. And
I can say,
his perspective.
from my experience, I can tell you last year when this thing was real serious, and we were in that back to school mark, there was a school in Statesboro, Bullitt County that had a real serious issue before school even started, was planning to open and had yet to inform anyone, including the health department. And so, not to say that we're doing it in Chatham County, but for parents, you gotta hold these folks accountable because there are a lot of institutions and so-called leaders who will not do the right thing, and you have those who will do the right thing. So
Hey,
we
you
gotta be
know what
very
I noticed
mindful.
though, Robert? I noticed that they're experimenting.
Yeah, and
They're,
that's
they're-
not good.
yeah, because you take for instance, when you got I ride by Senator Griffin, I ride by the employment, the labor department. He went out. I ride by the labor department, and at the labor department, nobody's at work. They're all working from home. We got a sign up there on the door saying
Yeah.
call in. They're all working from home. Now
Right,
here's the state of Georgia labor department that's working from home because of COVID.
right.
But the governor, if they can work from home, then that means that you should be issuing a mask mandate or something, or having a mandate to take the shot or something, because you're saying that everybody else can go out there and get infected or get exposed, but you're not going to let state employees do it, so you have them work from home.
Well,
So
the
it's a
issue is,
double standard there.
well, the issue is they're using children as a political pawn, and at the end of the day, that's just that's sick. That's just is downright sickening. Because at the end of the day, I'm guaranteeing you, had his children been young enough to be in K-12, he would not put his kids in danger, but he would be much happier to put our children in danger. And that's why, folks, y'all better start going to the polls, is because when you have people that make decisions like that, that's an idiot. It
Right,
is what it is.
right.
He's crazy. You know, his
I,
daughter just graduated from UGA, but I can guarantee you this: she wasn't in any danger when she was there, or at any risk of getting COVID. So
yeah.
if you could do it as a governor, as a leader, you need to make sure that everybody up under your leadership umbrella is protected. It just makes no sense to me. Talk
It,
about
it,
the labor
it
department.
don't make no sense. This variant, this Delta variant, is more harmful to younger people. It is proven that it's more harmful to younger people. So if it's more harmful to younger people, and you're sending these younger people into the schools without waiting it out, without everybody having the herd immunity, without uh, uh, everybody having understanding that they must wear their mask, because people don't even want their kids wearing the mask.
Yeah,
You know, I
it's
don't understand some people. You know, that kid needs to wear that mask. You rather have that kid walking than laying down, and it don't make sense. You know, they are playing with our kids' lives. I think
yeah. Uh,
the
at the end of
governors.
the day, it's I don't understand why, and I look at DeSantis' silly ass, excuse my language, in Florida. This is not a game. You either wear the damn mask or you get the vaccine or you sit your ass home. Bottom line.
Correct.
There's no in between with it. And I'm just very direct. Those who know me know I'm very direct. This is not a game to play with. This isn't around Trump and how big Trump wants to be with his little hands. This isn't about Joe Biden and his this is about people's lives. And until
That's right.
folks start realizing that you have now put people in place or your vote equals this foolishness we're dealing with, and let me make that real for you. So, folks in Florida, you have a choice now. You voted for this guy to be your governor, and you see the decisions he's making. Same thing here in Georgia. We got an idiot that's making decisions, who's kissing the ass of Trump. That leads us to now we are all in danger. Our lives are in danger because we have people who do not think logically. They think financially. And so start getting up and going to the polls. All of this equals to getting out to vote, getting more people registered to vote, et cetera, et cetera. So while we keep talking about and complaining and moaning, you allowed these people to get put in place because you didn't get people to vote. So don't complain and moan. Get up and make some action happen. Because the next time around, what will you do? Will you sit around moan, or will you make a difference in the community by getting up and voting? It is what it is. So, are we going? Is Mr. Lipsy going to join us, or did we do his did we do his pitch for him?
I think he gonna have to come on another time because we done did enough for bring attention to the subject.
Yeah.
But we just want everybody to be aware, that you're sending these kids back into school, and they are parents that are complaining about them wearing a mask.
And I hope I'm not a term when I say this, but parents, y'all got to start stepping up. Getting the PTA, make some noise, or stop sitting around and let people. As I tell my dad, stop sitting around and let people just push you around. You have a voice. If every parent was in the PTA, or if every parent went up to that school, or if every parent showed up on Bull Street, you'll get some results like weeping time. We're gonna sit around here and let these folks take our land, and then we're gonna be upset. That doesn't do anything. Let your voice be heard now. Stop being silent. There's movement when you have numbers and voices. When people see you not playing no more, they tend to listen. But right now they don't care because nobody's making no noise. And I'll leave it at that.
That's right. That's right. So we're going to keep a track of it. We'll give you a update on Wednesday. We'll see how the next 3 days go with we'll see how the next 3 days go with tracking the virus in the school system. But it's not just Chatham County, it's all over.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you next Saturday, Julius, and have a great week, y'all.
Have a great week.